Good evening, Blackwood insomniacs. It's your local ghost storyteller here, Ally Clifford. If you're still awake, you're in the right place. Tonight's story is called Only in Reflections. There is a warning that gets passed between students who have been at Blackwood long enough to believe that warnings matter, usually between floors in a dormitory, or in a library corner late at night, or in the particular intimacy of two people who have decided to trust each other. Never wave at someone you only see in a reflection. Most people hear it and nod and do not ask why. Because some things at Blackwood are accepted on the same terms as the forest and the fog and the specific way the clock tower always seems to chime once more than it should. You do not need the reason, you only need the rule. This is where the rule came from. The freshman arrived in September. She had grown up in a city where the buildings crowded the sky and the light was always coming from somewhere, and Blackwood's darkness took some adjusting to. Not the absence of light, exactly. More like the presence of dark in the sense that the dark here was a substance, rather than a condition. Something that had been accumulating in the spaces between the trees for a very long time. She noticed her in the third week of the semester. Library, late afternoon, the low light turning the windows into mirrors, her own reflection walking alongside her as she moved between shelves, and behind her own reflection, further back in the depth of the glass, another figure. A girl, dark-haired, standing still while everything else moved. The freshman turned around immediately. No one there, a vacant aisle, a reading chair with a bag on it, the ordinary business of a library in the late afternoon. She turned back to the window, just her own reflection now, looking back at her. The girl was patient. She didn't appear all at once, but gradually returning each time a little further along than before. At first, she was always far back in the glass, easy to dismiss. Then, over the weeks that followed, she was closer, just closer than the time before, as though she was approaching across some distance the freshman could not see and could not measure, and the glass was the only window onto that approach. In the dormitory mirror, closer. In the dark surface of a closed laptop, closer. In the rain-covered glass of a lecture hall window on a wet October morning, closer, and this time in focus, and for the first time, the freshman could see her face clearly enough to think, I would recognize her if I passed her on campus. In November, she noticed that something had changed. The girl's hair was wet. A week later, the freshman caught her in the corridor mirror outside her dormitory room, closer than ever before, close enough that if she had been in the same room rather than the other side of the glass, she would have been standing almost directly behind her. And in the better light of the corridor, the freshman could see what she had not been able to see before. The girl's neck. The skin there was dark with bruising, not the yellow-green of old bruising, but the deep, vivid purple of something recent. The freshman stood very still in front of the mirror. The girl in the glass stood very still behind her. And then, slowly, the girl raised both hands. Her palms were dark with something dried and rust-colored. The girl in the reflection smiled. She had been waiting for a very long time, wide, relieved, personal. Her smile was specifically for the freshman, as though she had earned it, as though the girl had decided something about her. The freshman turned and walked quickly back to her room and locked the door. The next morning, she passed the window of the campus cafe, catching her own face in the glass as she reached for the door. She was not thinking about it. She was thinking about coffee and the essay she had not finished. She looked up. The girl was directly behind her, no distance between them now. Standing so close that in the reflection her face was visible over the freshman's shoulder. The wet hair was dripping, and the smile was wide. As the freshman watched, frozen with her hand on the door, the girl lifted one hand and waved. The freshman waved back. She did not decide to. It was reflex of a person raised to be polite. Her hand lifted. She waved. The girl's smile widened. That night, the freshman could not escape glass. She moved through her dormitory room with the acute awareness of every surface that could hold a reflection. The bathroom mirror, her laptop closed on the desk, her phone face up on the nightstand, screen off, a small dark mirror lying in easy reach, the window which she had never thought of as a mirror before but which held a perfect image of her room and everything in it, and the dark shape behind her. Everywhere she looked, the girl, not moving anymore, not approaching, just present in every surface, standing behind the freshman's shoulder, looking out from each piece of glass, as though each reflection was a different window into the same room. She put her phone face down. She closed the laptop lid. She pulled the curtain across the window. She turned off the bathroom light so she would not have to see the mirror. She lay in the dark, and then she noticed, in the black rectangle of the switched-off television screen across from her bed, a shape. Still. Watching, she covered everything she could cover, tape over the laptop camera, a scarf pinned over the bathroom mirror, a sheet over the television. It didn't do anything. She broke the bathroom mirror, wrapped the pieces in a towel, put them in the bin, and felt a very temporary and very fragile sense of control. She left campus. She got in her car and drove, not toward home exactly, but away, down the long brick corridor of 1 First Street and out through the trees to the highway, where there were other cars and other lights and the ordinary, indifferent world that had nothing to do with Blackwood. She drove until she needed petrol. She pulled into a station. She paid. She went to the bathroom to wash her hands. She stood at the sink. She looked down at the water running over her hands. She looked up at the mirror. The girl was not in the mirror. The mirror showed the bathroom. It showed the stalls behind her. It showed the freshman's own face, pale, exhausted, the face of someone who had not slept properly in weeks. Just her. Just the room. She exhaled. She turned the tap off. She reached for a paper towel. And then she felt it. The specific, unmistakable sensation of another person's presence directly behind her. Not in the glass. Behind her, in the room, the displacement of space that a body makes when it is standing close to you. The sense of breath that is not your own, moving in the small distance between you. She stood very still. She looked at her own face in the mirror. She looked at the bathroom behind her in the mirror. She looked at the empty air where no one was standing. And then she lowered her eyes because she understood suddenly and completely what would happen when she looked up again, that the mirror was not going to show her what was standing behind her. Because the mirror was not hers anymore. She has not been back to Blackwood. The warning changed after her. It used to be, never wave at someone you only see in a reflection. Now it has a second part. Never wave at someone you only see in a reflection. And if you stop seeing yourself, leave the room. Leave the building. Do not look for yourself in any other surface. Because if your reflection is gone, it is not because the glass is broken. It is because the glass is occupied. And whatever has moved into it is not trying to frighten you. It is waiting for you to forget which side of the mirror you belong on. The students who have heard this story do not all believe it. But even the skeptics admit one thing, now that the story is in them, when they catch their own reflection in glass, in water, in a dark phone screen, in anything that holds an image, they look at it for just a moment longer than necessary, to make sure it moves when they do. That's enough from me, Blackwood Insomniacs. Hope you're all in dreamland by now. This is Ally. Good night, Alex.